Hey everybody, what the flick? William Bibbiani, Alonso Duralde, Francis Maxwell. We are back talking about Gotham Season 1, Episode 8, The Mask. It's got a mask in it. Let's check it out.
I wanted to make a gesture. I hope we can be friends.
In Gotham, survival
That is beautiful.
is the ultimate game. The war
You got a demon in you.
If we don't fight for the city, who will? I'm not gonna stop.
has just begun.
Alfred, can you teach me how to fight?
Yes, I can. Gotham, followed by Sleepy Hollow.
They keep teasing us with like titles and previews that make it seem like a classic character is going to come in, and then it's just some guy who's kind of like it. When they said The Mask, I thought, ooh, Black Mask.
Yeah.
That's a cool character. It's this guy who's got like the skull burned into his face and everything.
Yeah.
He's a really great character, and instead it's Fight Club guy. It's Moneyball Fight Club.
I try not to watch the coming attractions, and I think maybe that's a good thing because I did not have any idea what this episode was going to be about. So I took it on its own terms and was like, okay, well, I kind of like the idea of rich assholes making, hungry young would-be job applicants fight and do it on camera so they can all bet on it. That was kind of a cool.
I just think it's even, it's Batman. I'm not saying it needs to be subtle, but it strikes me as a little thudding even for Batman. Just like, get it?
Yeah.
Get it? Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like your lives.
But look, as societal metaphors go, I'll allow it.
Yes,
I thought it was well done.
Yeah.
I like this episode a lot.
I do too. That was my one complaint. I just thought the main plot was a little obvious.
I thought the Gordon Bullock stuff was really great, and the whole notion of the rest of the GCPD and how they treat Gordon.
Wasn't that great? It was like a happy ending to Serpico.
Yeah. Yeah. And I thought they were basically going to bypass that because that's what I would expect for them just to go away from it and not see any repercussions for what was happening. But Bullock would drive it into everyone that they basically did wrong. But I feel like my role to come in here is to provide my analogies, and that's exactly what I thought. I thought that my analogies. I'm thinking, who is this guy this villain? But I think it's like Tyler Durden meets Jordan Belfort. Like
that's exactly right.
And I seen him. I'm gonna admit something that's really bad. I watched the originals on the CW, a vampire show, and he's on it, and I liked him on it. He was a priest on there, and he was a good guy on it. And now he's this villain. But did anyone feel that it was a lot of the detective scenes in it were forced? Like walking back and there's just blood on the floor. Surely someone would notice that at least when I'm through. I feel like it's so obvious because they would just zoom into the blood and they'd pan up and he'd be like.
No,
definitely. I also thought, why isn't he waiting for Bullock? Why is he going in by himself?
No. It's interesting because it seems like a detective show written by people who love detective shows but know absolutely nothing about detectives. Like that's what this show feels like. Like the other episode when it was like, I'll put out an APB. What a great idea you just had, as opposed to standard operating procedure. All of the actual work they do to investigate things, which is why the Halloween episode was kind of fun because they went a little bit more into it. Really just they find out, it's this guy has the office building. Well, he obviously did it. Look at his room full of masks. They're just skimming.
Granted, yes, but I like the fact that you have these corporate raider Sun Tzu reading, warrior types, actually coming face to face with somebody who's been to a war, who's you're a douchebag, and I like him being called on that crap because we've seen that character a lot who fancies himself, this sort of corporate warrior, and it's you don't know fuck about war.
I like
Shut up.
That was good.
Don't get me wrong, I do like the way the show's going and I like the episodes, but just as you suggested, they seem to be, in every episode they'll introduce the villain early on. Oh, that's not the villain, we don't really know who that is. Then come back later on to the episode to find out that they are the villain. The same thing happened in the previous episode with the psychiatrist who would come back. And I'm just like, why don't you just wait and just have them find the villain towards the end of the episode?
I feel like there's two ways to do a Batman story where the story centers around a new villain. You either make it about the mystery, world's greatest detective, or detectives, or whatever you want to call Harvey Bullock, whatever. Or you make it almost like a Columbo episode where you know who it is at the beginning and it becomes more about finding out.
They know.
Yeah, and you find it becomes more about finding out more about the character. You look at a lot of the great animated series. You look at the animated series, for example, Mr. Freeze. Oh, who's this guy with the freeze gun? And then you slowly find out his backstory. and it's tragic and sad, and the villain becomes interesting. Here, we're not at that point. Again, we have so many protagonists that everyone but like the organized crime section, all of these monsters of the week, are really just sort of, I have an idea, we'll tie balloons to people.
And there was even a mention this week about like, the balloon guy and the goat, you know.
Yeah, right.
I will say, I think the best Fish Mooney episode.
Yeah, actually, like even though it was kind of crap, but like finding out, even as I was watching this scene, I'm like, I have some sense of her motivation. Yeah, I actually have an idea of why she does what she does.
And I like that she delivers backstory and then lied about it.
Right, to a woman who was, I guess, her mom or grandma or something.
I think that's her mother. I think so.
That's the point.
That's why we know the backstory is BS.
Right.
But no, good episode for her. Yeah. Good Cobblepot episode.
Yes. Always good Cobblepot episode.
Barbara.
You know, I don't know how committed they are to her leaving because, like, you know, in the comics, Gordon doesn't end up with her. So I'm wondering how far along they're even going to go.
Yeah, and she seems sort of strung along this time. Like they didn't really know what to do with her, and like she's mad or she's committed to this, but they don't really tell you why.
They want to show the repercussions because the last episode was such a a jaw dropper. It was a big one on this show.
Yeah.
So they wanted to keep showing repercussions, but they also needed to move on. So like Jim's got his job. She does. I don't know what the hell she does. I mean, does she have a day job?
Is she a model or something?
I don't know. Like, but she clearly has nothing to do but sit around, drink, and think about Victor Zsasz, like the rest of us.
I was delighted with that as well because I was praying that they wouldn't just completely disregard the previous episode. I love shows that they continue on. So like you're seeing the repercussions of the police officers, them feeling bad about it, and you're seeing the fact that Barbara is having to come to terms with her life being threatened. Because sometimes in these superhero shows, your life got threatened, but the next day I'm back to date, like Route 1, which is annoying when you're not a police officer.
But I think now with binge watching that people really are looking at seasons as a continuing thing, and that you can be more of a serial and pick up on things from before. It occurred to me now, having seen Nightcrawler, that young Selena Kyle is like an eerie sort of Rene Russo baby. Her face. She looks like if you took Rene Russo and digitally put her face on a child's body.
I actually finally recognize where I know her from. She was in a kids dance movie called Battleground America, Battlefield America.
I saw that one too.
Yeah, but she was blonde, so I didn't recognize her. But she was this badass 9-year-old dancer.
She took the role of Bruce Wayne in the previous episodes. Not saying that Bruce Wayne is still getting thrown in here irrelevantly, but she took that. Why was she in this episode? What did she have to do with anything?
Just to get her back to court.
To remind you that she's still on the show.
It was a cute scene. I like that moment. They were just like, oh, hey, officers. Like, that was actually kind of funny. But yeah, it's just, they just have her walk back in for some reason.
Yes.
Like, you can do better than that.
I really would have enjoyed seeing Bruce Wayne get a swirly. I think there needed to be one moment where he's actually genuinely picked on, and then he, beats the crap out of the guy.
So this is my question to you guys now, and my question of the episode. So now that Alfred's going to train him to basically fight, surely this is going to antagonize people to think, oh, maybe this is his Batman training Ellie, and I think that's ridiculous, especially for a show like this. I mean, it could be just the fact that this young kid needs to defend.
Junior high fisticuffs.
Yes, a young kid needs to defend himself, but when you're doing it with Batman, you're automatically going to have people think, oh, I was thinking straight away he's going to be like a hit girl Batman. It's going to be now trained at this young age and come and fight crime. But that's what I'm thinking stupidly. I'm like, why did they have to introduce that so early?
You know what I'll bet he does is I will bet he does some sort of Prince and the Pauper thing with Selena Kyle. Not like trading places, but going off into the world as a ragamuffin to try to learn more about his city.
Maybe,
I bet that might be an interesting place to go with it. I like that actually, that whole subplot. I thought. I like that Alfred isn't exactly the best dad. Yeah. He's kind of a pragmatic dad. It's like, oh, he said something bad about your mom? Well, I hope you kick the shit out of him.
How is this working legally exactly?
It was in the will.
That he's the ward of the butler now? That's how it works? Okay, that just seems a little... Okay.
He had a long
Rich people do what they want.
Actually, Alfred had a long history with the Waynes, and I think Thomas Wayne had saved his life or something a long time ago, so there was a little bit more of a complex relationship.
So he's like Bates on Downton Abbey.
Sure.
There's so many different representations of Alfred, and I know that he's even been portrayed as an intelligence agent before in the comics, so I'm guessing they're leaning towards that side of him, because we've seen the episode before that he pinned up a police officer to the car with no effort, and now he's basically going to teach Bruce Wayne how to defend himself. So now it's MI5 Alfred who's going to teach him.
He's got chops.
All right. Well, so I'm shutting up now about Bruce Wayne. He's there, and I'm going to deal with it, and there we go. Yeah. And I would have liked a swirly, but you can't have everything.
It's a good week for Alonso shutting up.
Join us next week.